It was the quickest road car ever made. It obliterated the Top Gear lap record, but it was so dangerous to drive that Clarkson had every emergency service on standby just in case.
Today, we're getting up close and personal to the savage Caparo T1. Where have these things been, and why were they so sketchy?
In the first part of the video, we'll unearth the engineering that made this car so quick, followed by having a chat with the man that is on a mission to keep Caparo alive. The T1 started off as a project pioneered by two ex-McLaren engineers. They launched the Freestream T1, which attracted the attention of Caparo. Caparo is a British company that is mainly in the steel industry, but back in 2006, they decided they should have a go at making a car. Then was born CVT, Caparo Vehicle Technologies, and the internet says 15 T1s were made and purchased by customers before the company was fully dissolved in 2019. No matter what troubles the company faced throughout that time, there's no doubting they created a special car.
The second I look at this thing, I'm transported straight back to 2007. There were a couple of specs we saw on the telly. There was the purple one that Jeremy drove, and then this orange that Fifth Gear had their slight instant in. More on that later. Seeing one of these in the flesh for the first time, the thing that stands out to me most is how compact the rear end is. It's so stumpy back here compared to the rest of the car. That's because it's essentially built like an IndyCar. So you've got a carbon fibre tub there with a super compact IndyCar V8 bolted straight to it, and then a really compact gearbox bolted to that, and then a really compact diff bolted to that. There's a lot going on in there, and it defines this weird way that the car looks. To me, it's like those scorpions with the really fat tails, the bodywork curving back on itself here, and then the end of this air intake being like the Stinger. The proportions are weird, but I kind of like them. Once you're at the rear, you start to realise where the downforce in this car is created. Right down here, these Venturi tunnels are enormous. You can get right down. They start essentially at the front axle and gradually make their way. You don't want them to be too steep. They gradually make their way out here, and then they continue right up into these flaps. I've never seen these before because I've never been this up close. But they don't just end where they naturally would. They flick up into these flaps either side. Kind of a very small long tail design. Love it. Continuing the downforce theme is this rear wing. Jeremy likened the side strakes of it to the SR71 Blackbird, and apparently these keep the car stable at 205 miles an hour, allegedly. Then you have this rear wing in the middle. I imagine this needs to be removed to hit that top speed, but all of this is cramming the car down into the tarmac and accomplishing 3G through the corners. That's going to hurt the neck a bit. I love how shrink-wrapped all the bodywork is at the rear, and these iconic louvers cut in for cooling. It's so race car. The mechanicals start to poke through once you're back here. You can see through the louvers and see all this pipe work, and also these exhaust tips and the suspension poking out at the back. Let's take a look at all that. This engine here is one of the main factors that means the Caparo isn't the most usable car in the world, because that is a 3.5 litre IndyCar V8. It's a Nissan engine. It's a VRH 35 ADE that came out of an Infiniti IndyCar. Now, you engine nerds out there, especially if you've watched my content, will hear VRH 35 and know that there's a cool engine story at hand.
The VRH 35 V8s were a family of V8 race engines that Nissan campaigned in loads of cars, the R90CK, the R390 GT1, but then a little company called McLaren came along and wanted an engine architecture to base their road car engine on for the MP412C, and they've kept with that architecture ever since. The 750S has a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 that still stems from the VRH Nissan engine. It's nearly time to discuss the big issues with this car. But first, are you coming to our event this weekend?
Me, Richard, Izzy, and the rest of the DRIVETRIBE team get yourselves to Bicester Heritage on the 30th of August. We've got a stunt show featuring original Top Gear live cars and stunt driver Paul Swift, all your favourite automotive YouTubers, all kinds of merch stands, and a steam engine. Get your tickets now via the link in the description. So, why did this engine end up in this car? Well, the initial car was developed by TWR, Tom Walkinshaw Racing, and they went through a whole load of different engine options, including a Cosworth DFV. But they had ran Nissan's GT1 project, the R390, where they used a VRH35. So the decision must have been that they liked that engine, Caparo liked that engine, and it ended up in the car. It develops 575 horsepower, and most of that power comes right up the top. It only really kicks in apparently at 9,000 RPM, and it'll rev all the way to 10,250, 10.5.
With the car coming in at 470 kilograms and this V8 creating 575 horsepower, that power to weight works out at 1,223 horsepower per tonne. It was the first road car to accomplish over 1,000 horsepower per tonne, and combined with the downforce allowing it to corner at 3G, you can see where the lap time came from. It set a 110.6 lap time around the Top Gear test track that was numerous seconds quicker than anything else back in 2007. If this car had some nose lift put on it so it could get over a speed bump, it would have held the Top Gear lap record for 18 years. Only being toppled very recently by the Aston Martin Valkyrie and then the Praga Bohema on our channel when Ben drove it. That is insane. This very car is for sale here at the Stratton Motor Company for 50 quid under 180 grand. So that is Valkyrie rivaling speed in a road legal package for around a fifth of the price. And it's dripping in Top Gear nostalgia. I did say at the start of the video, where have all the Caparos gone? You do not see them out anywhere at any shows. Well, there's this one. The eagle-eyed of you may have seen there's another two on that side of the workshop, and there are even more on this site in secret workshops here and there. There's a story going on here, so let's chat to the man that's the custodian of these cars and find out what's going on. Roger, thank you for having us. It's been a real insight into Stratton looking around here. First questions first. How have you ended up with all these Caparo T1s? How's this happened?
Well, it goes back to 2008 when I first met Angrid Paul. You know, he was having trouble getting the cars finished and asked us to be involved. So we got involved and did a bit of development work for him and started doing a bit of marketing, and all the cars came here really in the first place. So, and they've been in storage ever since.
So how many do you have on site? There's 3 here. How many are sprinkled over there?
I think we've got about 8 on site. Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And Wikipedia says there was 15 made. Whether that's true or not,
I'm not sure that. I think it may be 12 or 13 that were made, and there's some out in private hands at the moment.
So minimum, you've got 2/3 of all the Caparo T1s ever made.
Correct. Yes. Yeah.
That's incredible. So in terms of the ownership of these cars, they've got IndyCar engines in them. How stressful is that as an owner? Like, do they need preheating, or do they just start on the bottom?
No, they're very simple cars. That was the idea of the concept of the whole project, to make them simply to operate them virtually like a road car. So you don't have to have a team of engineers to start them up and warm the oil and the water. Just turn the key to start it, let it warm up, and off you go.
And in terms of working on them, are they quite tricky, or because they're kind of race cars, are they quite simple, really? Everything's there.
They're very simple, really, once you've got the bodywork off. You know, obviously the bodywork doesn't take any race car, the bodywork comes off very quickly, as you know. And these are the same, really. Once the bodywork's off, it's quite simple to work on.
And famously on TV, they had some issues. What development work, you said you did some development, what actual work did you do to these cars?
I think basically they weren't ready really to be released to the press. That was a bit early when they relaunched them, and there was still a lot of development work to do. They were still in their final, you know, initial build period, and they hadn't done many more R&D miles.
Do you think that was just to get some deposits down, to get some money going?
I think really, yeah. They were all tight on cash, really, at the time.
Okay.
You know.
So what development work was needed done?
A lot more handling needed to be done, a lot more cooling to the engine.
Yeah.
A lot more stuff, you know, wanted the fuel system redone, you know, on all aero-equipped pipes and things like that, rather than just use ordinary. You know, they're high-performance cars, so, you know, you've got to be careful with it.
So, Roger, you have all these Caparo T1s. What's the plan with them? What are you doing with them?
Well, the plan really would be to assess the situation first. We've got a lot of projects on the go at the moment.
Yeah.
So once we've finished some of those products, we'll put a team together, we'll assess them and then decide how we're going to market them, whether we're going to do more work to them, whether we're going to keep the general the bits. To be honest, we've got a lot of spares for them. We've got mould, so we can make lots more parts. We've got quite a good stock of parts from what we had from probably 15, 16 years ago when they first came here. The engine parts are more difficult. If we need engine parts, we're going to have to get those made, which we can do. Or alternative, we can look at alternative engines anyway. You know, it's very easy to change an engine in a race car, as you well know, you know.
So this one is currently for sale. I think people watching this, they will look at this car and see Clarkson and Plato spinning off.
Yeah.
Because of all the development work, are these quite different cars to what people saw back then?
Correct. They're very different cars. Different bodywork, more airflow into the engine to keep the engine cooler, better handling. You know, they're totally different, you know, and much more safety conscious with fuel systems and things like that. You know, it's all changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I was hoping to start one up today, but we haven't been able to. What is the reason behind not being able to start these up?
Well, the main reason, really, they've been in storage for over 10 years.
Right.
And all the engines, you can't just start an engine up. Any car that's been in storage, it's the worst thing you can do. You know, so you've got to recommission the engine, really, and the body and the car and everything. And we've got, some cars are missing ECUs, so we've got the ECUs off of these main cars, having those copied for the other cars. So when we, you know, get round to starting the project, we know we're ahead of the game, really.
Okay, and then what are the stories of these three cars? So this is the one you've got for sale, then we've got this purple one, and then the crazy canopy on that one. That's really
This really is a show car.
That, okay, the grey one was just, okay.
A show car. There is actually no engine in that, so that's really a display car. You can notice the bodywork's a little bit different. It's got no cooling panels and stuff, so it's an early display car.
It's interesting, they've all got slightly different aero screens. This one's just got that kind of lip there. This one's got a full-on screen, and then that one's got a full fighter jet canopy going on.
It was just different designs at the time that Ben came up with, I think, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're the sort of things we're going to work very closely with the original designer, Ben, on this project.
Okay.
And we'll decide what we can do and see what interest there is out there and to see what people want.
So after some slight fettling and the ECU's coming back, can we pop back and have a go?
Yeah, you'd be more than welcome. We'll set up once we got it. Once we know what we're doing with the project, we'll give you a call and you can come along and try a car, and then we can talk about what the future is for them.
Awesome. So in the not too distant future, the Caparo T1 is back.
Correct.
Awesome. Stay tuned, guys.
Now we know a bit more about the story behind these cars, I wanted to have a really close look around and have a sit in one. But first, we need to thank our sponsor, carmats.co.uk. Something the Caparo doesn't have is creature comforts like car mats, but thanks to today's video sponsor, carmats.co.uk, I've been dealt in with this fresh set for my car. Check these beauties out. Yellow ribbing to match the trophy yellow of my car, my name on the side just in case I forget it. Let's fit them. They're water resistant, they're anti-slip, and you can choose between carpets or rubber mats, whatever suits you and your car. You too can get custom car mats like these for your car, where you can have your name, your car's name, your Instagram handle, whatever you want. They'd also be a great gift for the other petrol heads in your life. So if you want a set of fresh custom car mats, click the link in the description below and see what carmats.co.uk can do for you. I wonder if they'll make them for the Caparo T1. Some custom mats for a T1. Be about that size. The T1 resembles a lot of the F1 with no rules concepts that you see from time to time on the internet, particularly when you follow the F1 style front suspension to the covered wheels. In a dream scenario, F1 teams would want to cover the wheels of their cars to avoid the turbulent stream of air coming from those exposed wheels, and they'd also cover the cockpit for better aerodynamic efficiency too, just like you could option on a Caparo. The Red Bull RB17 track car is making a lot of this a reality soon, but the T1 was at it 18 years ago.
Compared to other track day specials, this thing is really nicely designed. It's a proper two-seater, kind of like a Le Mans spec. It's got this staggered seat behind me, and apparently there's enough leg room for someone to fit quite comfortably in there. There's lots of space because of that. You're not super compressed in like a single-seater, say a BAC Mono or any sort of Formula car. You've got elbow room. It says a lot about the client base that Caparo was going for, that virtually the entire interior is covered in quilted leather. It's really thick and feels like really good quality. I like it a lot. There's still bits of exposed carbon to bring you back down to earth and realise you're in a race car, but it's actually a really nice place to sit. I'm quite comfy. I'm not ridiculously reclined. My feet aren't above my waist. It's not full-on F1 style, but no, I'm comfy sitting in a Caparo T1. I imagine the comfort takes a bit of a hit once the engine's revving at 10,000 RPM. The air intake is right above your head. Imagine that gets quite loud, in a good way to start with, but if you dailied this, it's road legal, I imagine that would get quite tiresome. My favourite part of the interior is the tax disc holder. It's in this little vial that is bolted to the side of the chassis. If you ever have any problems with the authorities, you just point them to that. It looks like something that would hang from the neck of a carrier pigeon. I like it. It wasn't all sunshine and apexes with the Caparo though. This thing did have its issues. Jeremy had the floor fall off during his test and also had fueling issues. And then dynamically, the car seemed to understeer a lot. For those TV shows, the car was fitted with road tyres and they seemed to scrub really badly in the corners. I imagine just due to the downforce this thing created and the speed it would enter a corner, the road tyres would quickly get overwhelmed and the car would just wash white. Now the way around that would be to plant the throttle and get the back to come round, but all the mechanicals are back there and therefore a lot of the weight's back there. The car's so light in general that you'd quickly be facing the wrong way. Pirelli did supply slick tyres for the T1, but they were rarely seen. Imagine what that would have done to the performance of this thing.
And then it had its big moments on TV. It caught fire on 5th gear due to an oil seal failure, and the underfloor came loose when Jeremy drove it, as well as having fueling issues. At the press launch, a journalist suffered from the front suspension falling off, and the throttle stuck open when going up the hill one time at the Goodwood Festival of Speed. You could argue that the company never really recovered from its big ticket mishaps, with it always being harboured with the reputation of falling apart, catching fire, or just being straight up sketchy to drive.
I think the lesson you can learn from this saga is the old adage, first impressions are everything. These guys did not give off a good first impression, but it's sad to hear that they essentially weren't finished. They got rushed into it, like so many other car companies do. I saw recently the Aston Martin Valhalla's come out on YouTube and it's the prototype. Why don't companies just wait until the car's fully finished so that it's a true representation of that vehicle that they've engineered? I'll never understand it. Follow the guys at Stratton Motor Company on Instagram where you will get updates on what's happening with these cars in future. Through them, Caparo is back. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. I've been Mike, and don't forget to subscribe to DRIVETRIBE.